All right, we are back. We are back. Hopefully, internet doesn't suck like it did with the watch party. We have 48 people watching live, 24 on YouTube, 21 on X, and 3 on Facebook. If all 49 of you all can do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat if you're hearing me clearly. There's no choppiness, no lagging. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat if it's laggy, choppy, because that's not good. Because there's some issue when we were doing the watch party. So I'm hoping that relocation, getting closer to my internet service or my router, clears things up a little bit better. So 1 in the chat if I'm coming in clear, 2 in the chat if it's a little choppy, like it was for the live stream for the watch party. See a 2 from Nisi. What is going on? Is it just Nisi or is everyone else got a chop is coming in on my end? 2. Jesus, what is going on? It's still choppy, but not as bad as before. I have no idea. I honestly don't know. We got some 2s in the chat. I don't know, man. Let me try something else here. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, let's try this again. Okay. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. If I'm kind of unclear, if it's choppy. Put a 2 in the chat if it's choppy. Let me know. Let's see. Like I said, I appreciate y'all sticking with me. I know the watch party has some internet connection issues, some choppiness, lagginess. That's even a word. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly, if I'm choppy, if I'm laggy. Put a 2 if it's laggy, choppy. All right, we see some ones. Are we better? Zia? Geek? L, are we good? 1, I can hear you. No chop yet, Vic says. Let's see. Let me get 1 or 2 more ones in the chat before we proceed. Okay. Thank the heavens. All right, y'all. We good. I hope. Knock on literally wood. I'm at my kitchen table right now. All right, let's. Okay, much better. Thank y'all. I think I know what the issue is. Internet sucks. Anyway, what didn't suck was tonight's episode, y'all. Which, by the way, I'm on HBO Max now, and it is yet to give a title for the second episode. Let me go on IMDb, but I still do not see a title on my end. Let me know if you all know what tonight's episode was titled, because it has not shown on my HBO Max app. As it says episode 2, and literally the synopsis is like the synopsis of what the series is about. Yeah, I'm on IMDb. It says episode 2. What's the name of this goddamn episode? That's weird. I mean, I know Wikipedia wouldn't have it. Either way, episode 2. I guess we can just come up with a name as a collective group watching live. What are we gonna call tonight's episode? What are we gonna call tonight's episode? Dumb and Dumber with Aegon and Silent Cole as his hand. My enemy of my enemy is my friend, with Rhaenyra working with the White Worm potentially now. I don't know. What we gonna call tonight's episode, y'all? See, Krusty the Clown. I like it. I like it. Krusty the Clown. I like it. I like it. What else we got? What Nisi got? Team Green implodes. I like that. I like that. Krusty the Clown is Krusty the Clown and the Green Knight explode. I like that. Implodes. I like that. Those two titles combined. Yeah, man. A lot went down tonight. I think I much more preferred tonight's episode than the premiere. Things longer episode, not as much, I don't want to say action, but it's not, there was a lot of ramifications of what happened last week, which I really enjoyed. But also, like, even though I'm a Team Black representative, a brother for a brother, that's a nice one, Vic. You wouldn't dare. I like how both sides, again, I'm Team Black, but I like how both sides right now, there's inner turmoil between both groups. Team Green has got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of, inner workings, people being fired on their days off, a lot of hypocrisy going on. But then Team Black, I mean, literally people just leaving without where you headed, Damon. Where are you right now? We got the White Worm in our camp now. So it's Team Black isn't, it's not 100%, but I think we're in a much better position than Team Green. That's just the Team Black in me. But in all honesty, I think Team Green is really, really in a bad spot. And we'll get to that bad spot when we get to who's the new hand of the king and also the hand of the queen, if you know what I mean. A lot going on tonight. So let's get into it, man. Again, thank y'all. I'm so glad that the stream is now working better than it was for the watch party. And again, for those that stuck around and watched the choppiness and craziness, it's hell of two Erics. I like that stress. Thank y'all for sticking through with me. Hopefully next week we won't have any technical difficulties. I know last week my mic wasn't working, but we're here now. So hit the like button, share, and let's get this thing popping. All right, let me share the screen with y'all, man. Let's break down this episode. There was a lot, so much goodness in tonight's episode. Like I said, we'll give our rating and everything towards the end, but I really thoroughly enjoyed tonight's episode. And not to make episode 1 seem like it was terrible, but it was just so much goodness going on with tonight's episode that I just really, really enjoyed all the quieter moments, the characters dealing with their issues, and just so much stuff going on. Of course, won't let me share the screen because I'm using a different browser. Of course. We can do it without the browser. Let me switch me back on. We opened the episode with seeing, and we talked about it, I think, briefly last week, the king, the kind of Joffrey type of amalgamations that I thought they were going with Aegon. He's not Joffrey. He's far from it. Because from what we gathered in tonight's episode, he actually cares. I mean, he showed it yet last week with the people of the town, asking for supplies, goats, sheep, equipment for building their weaponry for dragons to come. So I really enjoy that we get to see not a repeat, rinse, recycle, repeat type of situation going on with Aegon being compared to Joffrey. Like there's still some idiotic decisions he makes in this episode, but not as much or not as visceral or disgusting or disturbing as Joffrey. So I like how we open this episode seeing Aegon really be upset about him losing his son, the heir of his throne, right? Like again, just thinking of Joffrey, if he had a kid, which goodness gracious, I'm so glad he didn't. But like, I don't think he would care as much, right? He would be like, forget it. He probably didn't even want kids because he thinks about himself all the time. So I like that we get to see him upset about that. Again, I wish this is just an overall criticism with the entire show thus far. There are just moments I wish characters could have spent to each other. Like I wish that we could have seen, like we saw the king kind of interacting with his son at the beginning of the episode last week when he was in the throne or the doing over the meeting and he was playing with one of the Lannisters and he just like, that's my kid, he just, he has my intrigue, but he also has my kind of joyfulness and playfulness. So that was kind of a small scene that we got to see with the king interacting with his son, but I wish there were like more moments of like him showing, like I want you to be, the heir to the throne one day. So I like that we got to see that moment, but also too, one of the big questions that we had last week was it going to be immediately blood and cheese were going to be caught, but that wasn't the case. But we'll talk about what happens to blood in a second. But Aemon, again, this episode really pulled the layers back for these characters and showing a little bit of the vulnerabilities for all the characters, but in particularly with Team Green, because we're all, again, I'm a Team Green hater, Team Black all day, but seeing the sides of moment of quietness from Aemon, right? He's going off and like he's kind of putting in his head like, if I would have been in my room, I would have died tonight. And we'll talk about it later. Like he took a little pride in that. He was just like, my uncle wants to kill me. I'm doing things good. Right? I'm on his radar if he's trying to take me out in such a a cowardly way when he was resting in his bed and trying to kill him, assassinate him in his bed. So I like that he's kind of like on the kind of thinking about like, I'm making moves. I almost died, but and I don't know if he had any grief. Like, I mentioned it last week that some of the book readers have said that there's always this rumor that Helena and Aemon might have had a thing in the book that was never confirmed or denied. Stop Thor. And that potentially those children were Aemon's kids, but we didn't see him having a moment of grief. He was just kind of more like excited, like my uncle's trying to kill me, y'all. I'm moving up in this world. But also I like how he again talked. I don't even know if they gave a name to his the lady of the night that he was interacting with, but he also had a moment of like reflection. Like I killed my cousin out of, it was not meant to happen. And also to Aemon, I think he also was the one that realized they found the coin that Damon gave them for, to do the hit. So those quieter moments at the beginning, also seeing Alicent having her frustration, her grandson was just murdered. And she kind of has some moments of regret because as I kept talking about last week, that was so frustrating. I'm like, listen, you guys are at the brink of war and there's no guards covering any of the doors, any of the, royal family. Like, where are they? And I like how this episode it still doesn't give me all the answers. Like, even though Sir Kristen Cole, or Krusty, as you all call him, wasn't there, where he's supposed to be. He was in someone else's room, but still, I still think that there should have been security. Neither here nor there. At least I like that they at least address, like, okay, the head of the king or the King's Guard, was gone, and all, his second command was gone. So where was everyone? So I love that this episode at least acknowledges that it was some screw ups and some kind of the balls being dropped on a lot of ends. So we see again Aegon starting off yelling at his mom, yelling at Otto, I want vengeance, I want blood, I want vengeance. And I'm liking how this episode really puts an emphasis on the ramifications of when you lead with anger, you lead with hate, you lead with revenge. that you open yourself up to shortcomings, right? Um, Damon making that hit and not being as crystal clear as possible to define, if it's not Aemon, don't do it. Same goes with Rhaenyra making a call. I love her. She's my queen. You know this all day. But her just not even thinking, just saying, I want Aemon Targaryen, and how, again, what that led to. So I love how this show has really, really shown us that when these characters are leading with their emotions, they're leading with their anger, they're leading with revenge as their main priority, and that's the only thing that's on their mind, there are huge ramifications for that. So I really enjoy that. I really enjoyed how this episode put an emphasis on that. And we see that throughout the episode, but more particularly throughout the first, 10 minutes or so. And by the way, for those that are just coming in, I mentioned earlier that there isn't a title for the second episode yet, but we had some great titles from Vic and Nisi and Zia. What do we come up with? Krusty the Clown and the Team Green implodes. A lot of good names, but again, I'm going to refresh it. I don't think that they've given it a name yet. I still don't think IMDb has given episode 2 a name, which I don't know if that's purposeful or if they didn't want it, like if the title alludes to something that happened in this episode, maybe it spoils it potentially. Let me see. Is this? Yeah, there's still no title for episode 2. I think HBO and their creators want to maybe hold off on it because it might give too much. I think someone mentioned it in the chat earlier about like something involving the brothers. So maybe it might allude to the brothers. That was kind of the big climax of the episode of them, both of them dying. And again, they're fighting a war that has nothing. I mean, obviously they have their honor, their work for the Kingsguard, but they're fighting a war that's really not even their blood, right? They're abiding by the laws of Westeros and what it means to be a Kingsguard. So yeah, I think tonight's title, whenever they reveal it, is going to probably have something to do with the brothers ultimately killing each other, and that being like essentially, and we'll get to that scene, but that's almost essentially a metaphor, like a real representation of what happens when family has to come to, come at head with lives on the line. Both sides lose, So I can't speak highly enough about tonight's episode and how it all came together. But as we kind of go through the rest of this first kind of 15 minutes or so, again, there's just tensions are high on Team Green. They want answers. They're not aware of who is involved until, Mr. Large Strong comes in and says, I think we have an idea. We caught the guy who used to work for the King's Guard. He had your son's head in a bag, and the king immediately is like, let's kill him. Let's no questions asked. He was very gun-ho on getting vengeance. But then they start, I think Aegon pretty much knew who was involved, because right now, before, like I said, tensions are high, but right now they're like, oh, the traitor within our own walls, what have you. But then they're like, Aegon's like, nah, bro, it's my sister who did this, which he isn't wrong, isn't completely right. But I just love I can't stress enough how well written this episode was and how it put these characters in position. Again, when they're so hot-headed, these Targaryens, this goes for all Targaryens, even though, again, I got to make sure y'all know Team Black, but this speaks for all Targaryens, man. Their downfall is their anger, man. I even think of Danny, and Jon Snow. I mean, again, what they got fire in their blood, man. I guess that's what happened when you're Targaryen. You lead with your heart, not with your head in a lot of cases. And it unfortunately leads to devastation. But before we move on, man, let me see what you guys are talking about in the chat before we get down to our next scenes here. Tell it to Eric's, which would be interesting. Aegon is a clown. I can't disagree with you, Johnny. The acting, the writing, the cinematography. There's so many great close-up shots, great score. I mean, this is again, we'll share our scores at the end, but again, just know that I much more preferred tonight's episode than last. This was an excellent episode of House of the Dragon. Daemon is misunderstood. Oh, we got a Daemon supporter in the house. We'll talk about Daemon here in a second. We'll get to that scene. Who fathered Allison's son in the high? Yeah, they mentioned we'll talk about that, but her son, who was missing. They finally mentioned him in tonight's episode, which I think is interesting. I wonder if we'll finally meet this person in the flesh. Yeah, Vic. Yeah, like I said, it's unfortunate. It's kind of genetic, right? That they're very, very emotional, and then it leads to a lot of blood being shed. But Renera and says for keep it cool. That's true. That's true. There again, there's moments where I think both of them. I think Rhaenys is a little bit more seasoned. She's been through it, and I'm sure she had her moments of being hot headed and upset. But she's also, like I said, she's been through it and had time to marinate and sit with her emotions and grow up, right? But yeah, you're so right. Rhaenyra had her moments of restraint, and we've seen her have restraint throughout this entire show. But I think last week we saw that moment of vulnerability and see her snap, right? She made the call. She made the call to have Aemon Targaryen killed, and we know what that led to. So, but I totally agree with you as far as for the most part, two of our more composed people on Team Black tend to have their emotions at check and not always leading with anger. But again, my queen, who I love, Rhaenyra, she makes mistakes every now and then. But going back to the episode, man. By the way, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Otto Hightower was very logical in this episode. Otto Hightower was calling out Team Green. It got him fired. Obviously, we'll talk about that. But I thought Otto Hightower might have been one of the most logical individuals in tonight's episode. And we'll get to one of the big reasons why a little bit later. But I think, it almost, threw up saying that. But I think Otto Hightower is someone that I was very surprised by. Sorry, almost. Again, Team Green are terrible. But we'll get to Otto a little bit later. But again, let me know if y'all feel the same way, man. I think Otto, speaking the truth, makes my stomach hurt saying that. But we'll get to Otto. He had some very interesting moments. But again, throughout speaking of Otto, again, going back to my point in the very beginning, he's telling them cool heads prevail. We need to calm down. We need to think with our brains, not with our emotions, and think about what we're actually implying that the queen had something to do, or Rhaenyra had something to do with the killing of the king's son. So there again, he was very, very calm, cool, collected this episode. We'll get a little bit more of Otto a little bit later, but as we kind of maneuver through the rest of the episode here, we have Alicent talking to Helena and kind of. I wish I could share the screen, but I'm using a different browser that doesn't allow me to share the screen because it thinks it's taking copyrights from HBO. But neither there. The scene I'm at now is when Helena's talking to her mother, Alicent, and they're grieving and upset, and what happened to the boy. Alicent had the nerve. Let me tell you something. Alicent had the nerve to tell her daughter, who just lost her son, and Alicent obviously lost her grandson. Hey, honey, what you saw last night? You want to talk about? What? Oh man, Alicent, what? Like, huh? What is that? That's the first thing. That's on your mind right now. Is if your daughter saw you, being a hypocrite, was sleeping with Cole. That's what's on your mind. And I love how Helena, who by the way I think has spoken the most in this, or at least not even spoken, but had like the most to do in any episode of the show so far, of just going through the streets to mourn her child and having that scene with her mom. I like that they're at least giving her more to do than just being a weirdo saying things under her breath that have a lot of importance. But shout out to Helena in this episode, man. I love it. She's like, Mom, I don't got time for your BS right now. I like that. But I think that will come back. I think that this conversation will come back into question sooner rather than later, because that is, especially now, that person who's the head of the king is sleeping with the queen, and there has to be some type of conflict of interest, right? So we'll get to that, but we do see the king has his moment, and I was hoping this is just I guess the old school Game of Thrones in me of this the brutal, savage nature of just hatred and anger. I wanted to see the king, pummel the old Kingsguard blood when they caught him, but we understand that he killed him. At least I think we do. I don't know if he maybe abused them with the weapon he had and it's going to slowly but surely kill him as the days and weeks go by, just make him torture. But I'm pretty confident that he killed him. But neither here nor there, we see him make that, which I guess is kind of a big deal, right? Because that's the first time that Aegon has killed anyone. I don't think the episode didn't really show us the ramifications of that scene, but I would think that would affect a young king mentally speaking, that he had, that he killed someone for the first time, obviously for the reasons that he thought was right in his head, and I don't blame him. But I do wonder if that what do you want to call it, a bloodthirst, like of him getting his first kill, if that ignites something else. I mean, it did open the gates for some terrible decisions later in this episode, but I'm very curious to know if that action is going to have any lasting effects on him as a king moving forward, but more importantly as a man moving forward of killing someone, and that nature of just, again, assuming that he just bloodied him, killed him, bashed his head in. But again, we didn't see the full extent of that scene. But a scene that was very interesting to me, and I wonder if it's going to have any foreshadowing, when Alicent and Helena are going through the streets of Westeros mourning their son and their grandson. There was a moment when Helena's looking up in the sky, and I think they're like, I don't know if it was rice or flowers, but it was like these little, it almost looked like it was ash in the sky. And we see a scene later with Rhaenyra doing a similar thing, but I think hers was like dust. I don't know if that's a future foreshadowing of like just what's to come for both sides, Team Green, and I wish I could share the damn screen, but Team Green and Team Black, of like that meaning something later. Now, Helena didn't like mumble anything, at least I didn't see it in her breath, like her saying ash or something, but I think that implies something. I could be wrong, but I thought that they put an emphasis on that as if though that was like she was having like Vic said, like almost like she was having a vision of like smoke and debris, and ashes in the sky being like an after effect of Team Green and Team Black coming to head, and lasting standing is just smoke and ashes. So I could be wrong, but let me know what you guys thought about that particular scene. I think that, like I said last week, and I'm not the only one that says this, but anything involving Helena is something we should get. I can't share. I don't know why it won't allow me to share the screen. If it ain't one thing, it's another. But anyway, hopefully my other browser will be up and ready next week where I can share some of these screen grabs with you. But I Game of Thrones is dark, very dark, and House of Dragon is dark too. I don't think it's as dark as Game of Thrones, but they have their moments. When they were in the streets of Westeros and that cart that was holding a child was stuck in the street, I'm a big horror fan, love scary movies. I was thinking Hereditary for a second, and I was, not that this scene happened in Hereditary, but if you've seen Hereditary, I'm referring to someone's head coming off their bodies. I thought that when they were pushing that cart, that child's head was, they showed it too. That's again going back to the brutality of this show. Sometimes just seeing that, the sewing of the child's head, that they had to connect it back to his head, that's just a visual that definitely is haunting. But I was thinking like, dude, they're gonna end up pushing this cart so hard that child's head is gonna roll off of its body and roll in the streets of Westeros, and that would have been devastating and also gruesome and brutal as hell. But they were, and then I don't know if from my book readers, I don't even know if that was something that happened. If I don't know, I could just be, that's my horror mind thinking out loud. I don't even know if that's something that's happening, but that's what I thought they were leading to, that whole scene was like going to be like this is dark. This is dark. But they held restraint. They had restraint in that scene, which I'm glad it didn't go to those levels. But speaking of the child whose head was, last week, we see, and I love that the show didn't keep us on the edge of our toe, keep us waiting and waiting for this conversation between Rhaenyra and Damon. But she's talking to her people, and they're like, "This is what happened, and you're the blame. Everyone in Westeros and the Red Keep is blaming you." And she's like, "I, I literally just lost my son. Why would I even think about killing?" She was thinking about killing a son. Aemon is a son. An eye for an eye. But she obviously didn't mean for what to happen to happen. But then, oh man, I love Rhaenys when she looked at Daemon. And it was like she knew. She read through the BS because he's just sitting there, kind of smirking and smiling. It's like Damon's being, deceitful as always. But this is what I loved about it, that they didn't do, like, I'm not saying another show would have done this, but in some lesser well-written shows would have had that conversation between Daemon and Rhaenyra. And again, I know it's based off source material, but they could have lingered it. They could have wasted our times, if you ask me, but they didn't, which I'm so glad the writers and the directors didn't do this, have that conversation that's being had that we're about to talk about now. Loved it. So Damon is obviously playing dumb. He's like, which I don't know. Let me know if you guys feel like he was being genuine. I don't think he was, but I love how Rhaenyra called him out for his BS. Said, like, regardless if you didn't mean for what happened to happen, you still made the call without clarification to the to these, which again, the whole thing was just handled poorly. Like these two random people being involved in an assassination, the way that was handled, which is very poorly done. But she's like, "Listen, I can't trust you. My dad didn't trust you." And obviously Damon got upset about that. Oh, I wish I could share the screen with you guys. But the acting in that moment of, like, we saw him be very kind of, you put your hands on Rhaenyra, Damon. I will never forget that. And he was almost about to do that again. But just that frustration. She's telling him the truth. He knows she's telling him the truth. He doesn't want to hear it because he's Damon. He doesn't, take orders from anyone. She calls him out and says, "Do you even want me to be your queen?" She's like, "Who was the one?" Let me tell y'all something, man. The way that this show puts its actors in positions to shine with great dialogue, but it's, to propel the scene is you have to have great actors in these scenes. And the back and forth of an argument between Damon and Rhaenyra almost feels as eventful, as thrilling, as tension-filled as a scene that we see later in this show with those, with swords, with weaponry, with actual hand-to-hand combat. The verbal fight between those two is just as thrilling as an action scene, because the words are the weapons, and it's just it's the back and forth. And by the way, she was right. I am a Queen Rhaenyra fan all day, but she was speaking the truth. He's a liar. He can't be trusted. And she tells him, "There's this darkness in you that you don't like to show, but I see you." And I just love that Rhaenyra is so honest with him. I love that she's not a character that has that restraint, that has that fearfulness of Daemon. Because in other positions, we've seen how Daemon treats other characters in the show, and particularly women. She don't care. I love that about Rhaenyra, and I love that Daemon knows that about Rhaenyra. That scene to me is just a highlight for me for sure, and many others. But that scene there, let me know what y'all thought about that scene between Daemon and Rhaenyra, of just the honesty given from her, and him not he can't take the truth so much that he just got on his dragon and went off to who knows where. But that was a scene that definitely was something that I really thoroughly enjoyed. And we didn't get much dialogue from Rhaenyra last week. And not that we needed it, because we talked about her grieving her son, and just the physicality and the role and the looks and the stares and the way she's moving throughout the scene. We didn't, and obviously her spoken word of killing or get a name. It was very powerful, but she didn't have to even speak to understand where her character's coming from. But we make up for that in this episode because she was speaking some facts. And Emma is fantastic. The first off, her face card is just flawless. Like when she, I can't wait to get to that white worm scene when she was looking her up and down and literally looking through her soul. She could do no wrong in my eyes, man. She makes mistakes. Don't get me wrong, but man, she's such a great character. Anyway, that scene is fantastic. Let's see. Let me see what you guys are talking about before we go to the next scene here. Do you all agree with me with the Rhaenyra and Damon scene? Let me scroll up. So we talking about the head. So you guys did think that the head was gonna roll down? Yeah, I'm like, dude. Yeah, what's up, Skylar? That's what I thought was gonna happen for sure. I thought that the coffin was gonna fall. Yep. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that was thinking that. Now, like I said, I took it a little step further with the head rolling out, but we're in the same boat. I think they're showing more. Yeah, for sure. Uh, that's listen, Johnny. If this was the boys, yeah, there would have been some heads rolling down the street. That is for sure. Loose cannons everywhere. Yeah, her perspective. Allison is a hypocrite. Don't get me started, voice. Don't get me started. It was great. Yeah, that scene was just so great between those two. It's dynamite. It's just dynamite when those two are on the screen together. Absolute dynamite. I can't wait to rewatch this episode later tonight, by the way, just to relive these scenes. But question: where's Damon? Where did he go? I can't even think of like a popular location right now. Where do you guys, from my book readers, from my show watchers, to everyone watching this, appreciate y'all. Thumbs up, share, comment, of course. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate it. Where is Damon? Put your predictions, your theories of where he went. I love what Rhaenyra says earlier. He could be gone for a week or he could be gone forever. Who cares? But let me know, man. I can't even, like I said, I can't even put a location in my head of where he could be going. I'm just thinking of like characters we've seen him interact with, or maybe we're going to meet new characters that he's shared time with that we haven't met yet. But let me know in the chat. I'm going to take a quick little break. But as I take this break, put your theories, predictions in the comments. Where's Damon? And we'll be right back. Let me see. Where's Damon, y'all? Where is this? I forgot he flew to. No, he flew off somewhere. Oh, did they say that? Okay. Harrenhal. What would be there for him? Is there an ally I'm not thinking of? Let me know. Let me know. But as we kind of maneuver through the rest of the episode, Bayla, is that her name? Damon's daughter, Allison's or Rhaenyra's stepdaughter slash niece. I don't know. The family tree is like all over the place. Anyway, Damon's daughter, Rhaenyra's stepdaughter. We'll just call that for now. Bayla. She obviously knows her dad is upset, going off, being a hothead as usual. But correct me if I'm wrong, and if you guys feel the same way, Rhaenyra sends Bayla, again, if that's her name, please let me know. They sent her to Westeros, to King's Landing, or not West, to King's Landing to do surveillance, looking over things, seeing, what the enemy's doing next. And she tells her to be discreet about it. First off, how can anyone be discreet with a dragon, right? They don't have cloaks. They don't have a button you can push to make them go invisible. So discreet dragon doesn't even coexist to me. That sounds like an oxymoron, but putting that aside, didn't you just lose a son that was flying his dragon under your orders? Huh. And then to go by herself? Mm, I don't know, Renee. Again, y'all know I'm a big fan of hers. I don't think she's gonna. I hope she don't die. Bayla, if that's her name. Um, but she's in enemy territory. You're sending this girl to enemy territory, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think she has any battle experience. Not saying she can't hold her own, but we haven't seen it in the show, except for when they were kids and they were fighting that cave. But I don't think that counts. I hope that decision doesn't bite her in the ass. Sending that girl out there discreetly on her dragon. When she said that, I about coughed up a lung. Like, what? Anyway, let me know in the comments if y'all were thinking the same thing. That doesn't have good ideas at all surrounding that. I hope the girl is okay. I hope she doesn't get caught. Because right now, the more I say it, the more dumb it is. Because right now, the security is at the highest level possible after what just happened to the. Oh, that was not a good decision, but it might be one of those things that the shows is like, ignore that. She's gonna be fine. She's just gonna go over there and she'll come back with some, some information, valuable information. She's gonna be okay, Ellie. You're just overthinking. What she do? I don't think I am, but anyway, as we move forward, again, there's a brief moment between Helena, very brief moment. Helena's going upstairs. Aegon's coming downstairs, and they have a moment of just like, so weird because they're siblings. But I think that moment was read to be, we just lost our son. Can we talk about it? I don't have time to talk about it. I need to do what I need to do as a king. And she understood that. Again, this is a little nitpick, but it's just like little moments like that would have been more impactful if we would have spent time with them. Like, I just wish there was a little bit more time to marinate with some of these characters. You understand the intent of the scene, you understand the intent of these relationships, but I'm more of a see, don't tell versus type of viewer where I like to see things on screen, development, ups and downs, all that stuff. Anyway, there's just an acknowledgement that I thought was, brief, but I hope that means that we do get to see husband, wife, brother, sister, goodness gracious, have a moment to kind of reflect on, certain events, especially after losing their kid. My gosh, I never once share a screen more than in my life than I do right now. This is step one of just many decisions from Krusty Cole, as y'all call him in the comments. So as they're taking away the bed and the sheet with the blood, it's so messed up. Cole sitting there looking like, man, I really messed up, man. I should speak up. I should right my wrongs. I should tell, the people that need to know, the king in particular, even though I know he's going to chop his head off if we found out, but at least having the cojones, the moral responsibility to do the right thing. But no, Krusty Cole, as y'all call him, does not have an ounce of dignity in his damn body. I'm trying to think, of course, the Joffreys of the world, Littlefingers of the world, Ramses of the world. What was the old crusty man in that Arya killed? There's been so many great, obviously Cersei, and so many great people that we love to hate in Game of Thrones. But Krusty Cole, we're meant to, I'm sure there's a very small percentage of people out there globally speaking that might like him because of his looks and They might like the character, whatever, and to each your own. But I think the show is intending us to not like Cole. I say all that to say, even though we're supposed to not like him, I think that's the way he's written. I don't think I've how do I say this? I don't think I've disliked a character we're not supposed to like I do with Cole. Did I say that right? I don't know. I think y'all know what I'm saying. He's meant to be hated, and we're supposed to hate him, but I don't love that I hate him because I just don't like him. Goodness gracious, we'll get to it a little bit more later. But whenever he's on screen, I just want to throw a tomato at his face. I wanna and shout out to the actor because he's doing a phenomenal job. Um, but I just do not like him because it's not even like physically things that he does. It's just like him, just the way he carries himself, the way he talks. It's just like, dude, I just wish I could go through the screen and choke you. But we'll get to more of the craziness with Cole. But they're doing a good job, man. They have when you have a show like this, you need to have at least that one or two characters that just gets under your skin. And I don't think there's anyone else on this show that gets under my skin as much as Krusty and Kristen Cole does. Let me know if I stand in that boat alone. Either way, Allison, they have their moment at the door, and she's like, they're having a conversation. He's I think internalizing his mistake of morally sleeping with the queen and what that can mean. But again, he doesn't have a spine, right? He ultimately, the next day, again, instead of taking responsibility or at least doing things the right way, but without telling people what he did wrong, but just doing the right thing. No, he goes to one of the twins, looks at his cloak and says, what is this? What are you doing, man? Go wash yourself up. Go change. You're a disgrace to the king's guard. Matter of fact, where were you? Well, what happened? And he's like, I was here to, the question is, head of the Knights King, where were you? Right. And he gets all upset, yelling at him, telling the twin to do the mission that we'll talk about later. And if you guys were watching it, even though my watch party was a little choppy with the internet issues, again, I apologize for that. But if you were able to see me without the choppiness, the reaction I had was just my blood was boiling, seeing this man as being such a hypocrite, telling this, the twin that he was wrong for not being on his duty and doing what he needed to do and be where he needed to be, knowing that he was in. And wasn't they were in, I don't even think they were in, regardless of where they were, I think they were in Helena's headquarters, but they might have been in Allison's. But we know where he was last week, and he had the nerve to tell that man, and then to honestly, he knew it was a suicide mission, right? I think there was two things that Krusty Cole was doing in that scene. He was covering his own ass because someone was holding him responsible, holding him accountable, and he didn't like that. So it says, you know what? If he continues to, spew this truth of where was I, and more people start to realize that, and more people start to talk, he gets to the king, and the king starts answering questions, so on and so forth. So one, he's like, let me put this one person that's questioning my authority and questioning my whereabouts in this position to die. But then on a whim that he actually gets the job done, I'm the one that gave him the order. So it kind of looks good on my end. Boy, I hate Cole. I hate that MFer so bad. But anyway, I mean, the twin can't say no. He can't, take not listen to his order. He's the head of command. My goodness, man. I can't tell y'all how much Cole and the hypocrisy just comes out of that man's mouth. But good job. Fabian, I think is his name, the actor's name. They did a good job of not typecasting the way I thought the show was initially cast. Because I haven't read the book that this is based upon, or there's particular stories that this is based upon. But when you see Fabian, if that's his name, Fabian, he has a stereotypical handsome looking the hero, right? He's the hero of the story when you first meet him in season one. But I can't think of a show that's done such a good job of recent memory that has taken the typecast of which you thought that he would have been the hero of the story to make him to be the most despicable character, one of the most, in my eyes, the most despicable, but at least one of the most despicable characters, and to reverse it. Good job. Great casting, great acting, great writing. I hate Cole. I'm going to continue to say that. We need a shirt. Krusty, Kristen Cole. I hate him, y'all. Anyway, he says it's one on the mission. He's on his way to go die, as we'll talk about later in the episode. Let me know in the chat. Is there a romance? Again, I wish I could share the screen, but between Jace and Bela, is there a romance brewing between these two? That's Rhaenyra's son, Daemon's stepson, but his nephew, right? And that would be Rhaenyra's nephew. What are they? What is Luke, or not Luke, Jace and Bela's cousins? Step cousin? I don't even know. Anyway, is there a romance brewing between these two characters that they're kind of alluding to when they're talking? Not a long scene, but they're talking about their parents and decisions and all the stuff that's going going on. Is that something that they're setting up for a little bit later? A romance between Adam. Now, later in the episode, Aemon, very vulnerable. I think we've only seen Aemon being one characterized like a stoic badass, a Daemon 2.0. We've never really seen him be anything other than that, except for in this episode. I don't know if they give her a name, but he's talking to a lady of the night in one of the brothels, and he's being very vulnerable with her. I mean, so much so the man is butt ass naked, super skinny. I did not expect, not body shaming, but he's very, very small. I don't know if that's a character choice for him to be that so small and so skinny, or that's just an actor's choice. Again, not body shaming, but I wonder if it is a part of the story because he's very skinny. Anyway, very vulnerable. He's again, it's almost like she was holding him like a baby, and he was almost talking to her like a baby, right? He's like, I feel bad for what I did to my cousin. I didn't mean to do that. She tells him, when princes get angry, sometimes bad stuff happens, kind of, soothing his woes. And but he also tells her that he kind of feels a little I don't want to say happy, but he's feeling himself because his dad, it might as well be his dad because they act very similar, but his uncle Daemon, would it be his uncle? Again, the more I think about this family tree, just is his uncle. I'm pretty sure it's his uncle. His uncle wanted him to die, and he kind of got happy because of that. He's like, man, my uncle was willing to have an assassination done on me in my bed. I'm moving on up in this world, man. It's a messed up way to think of it, but that's the way he kind of looked at it as he's being swaddled like a baby. Which I'm very curious to know if that relation, again, I don't know what the young lady's name, but the way I kind of looked at it was almost like how Tyrion had his, what was her name? Shay? Was that her name? I think her name was Shay. We obviously know what happened. That, she was a mole sent in from his father. But I wonder if that's something that Aemon is going to have, like someone to confine in, to go to talk to get motherly advice from his lady of the night. Again, I think someone said mommy issues. Shout out to Tim. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Tim. But Eamon has mommy issues. Who doesn't have mommy issues in this show? That's the question I have for you, man. Everyone's got parents that are causing them to have a lot of reflection and mommy issues for sure, man. For sure. But thank you, Tim, for the super chat. Uh, couldn't agree with you more. Nisi, got to catch the rest of the replay. Enjoyed it though. It's 11:30 here. Y'all show my man MovieFiles some love. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's 10:30 where I'm at. In Central Time, but I appreciate y'all, man, because it's a little bit later in the evening. I love talking about the show, but more importantly, I love talking about it with you all, and I appreciate y'all joining me tonight. But shout out to Tim with the first super chat of the night, and then followed up by the incredible Nisi with the love. I appreciate y'all, and yes, definitely show some love, man. Hit that thumbs up if y'all could, but also keep the conversation going. I love reading you guys' comments. Which, speaking of, let me go back up and see what y'all thinking about what I am saying so far. Double cousin, yeah, it's confusing. It is confusing. Let's see here. Niece daughter is Baylor's mother. Niece daughter, yeah. She died in season 1 with Damon's wife. I can't think of her name right now, but they got married, they had kids, obviously, and she was gonna give birth to another kid. And unfortunately, the baby Damon he didn't make the choice between saving the kid or saving his wife. I don't know why he couldn't make the choice. I think he actually probably didn't want. Anyway, not to reopen those conversations from last season, but yeah, she didn't have the kid, and she ended up having Vagar burn her alive. Yeah, that's her mother. So yeah, and not to bring up old wounds, but that was a big issue I had with season 1. We barely spent time with her, Bayla's mom, whose name is slipping me right now. And I wish we could have got mom, because that actress, she was so great in that moment when she, had Vagar, Jakaris her, set her on fire. So, but yeah. Let's see. Elena, thank you. Yes. That was her name. She was so great. I was so mad when they killed her off. So early, like, 'cause we saw her as a young kid, um, and the next time we saw her, she was a teenager at the wedding when her and Damon locked eyes, and that was kind of like their first time being like, "Hey, you want to do this?" They got man. The next time we saw her was adult, so we only got like a handful of scenes with her, but she was so good. Small dose of her performance, but it was very memorable. I wish again, R.I.P. Wish we would have got more moments with her. But again, Eamon, mommy issues, confining in a woman, which it's a woman of the night, Eamon. This is a brothel, my dude. This is information you shouldn't just be divulging to people that, could share this information, you know? Anyway, we'll see what comes of that relationship if there's more to come. Speaking of relationship, I can't. Keith, is that his name? I wish I could share the screen. There's a gentleman that looks like he just is a character straight out of The Witcher. I think his name is Keith, which is very. Is that his name? Kenneth or Keith? He's talking to I assume was his wife, about the promise that the king made to him. That's a very random scene to not have any importance. So again, correct me if I'm wrong. I know it's something with a K. Matter of fact, I can't play the scene, but I'm gonna play it for myself and put the subtitles on and see. I know his name is something with a K, and I want to say Kenneth is what she called him. Like I said, he looks like a character straight out of The Witcher with his hair tied back. Did she say it? Did she say it? I'm not gonna. I think it's Kenneth. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we saw him last week. He was at the king's. He was talking to the king about when they were asking about things they need, and he said that he needed. There was a sheep, and I think he was the guy that asked for, like. No, it wasn't the sheep. He asked for the weaponry. I believe that they need more weapons to guard the perimeter for any dragons from Team Black. So he's talking to his wife again, Kenneth Keith, Mr. K, Witcher. He's talking to his wife and, like, talking about selfishness and the king's going to do the right thing. That has to play a part, right? That's again, why would they show us that scene? So I don't know if he is going to be a representation of how the King's Landing are relying on the king, but how he's going to lose their faith because he's going to break promises. Obviously, he killed all the rat catchers earlier in this episode, so I don't know if they're posing it where, like, his loyal believers, followers are going to slowly but surely, someone like this character is going to lose their faith in their king. I don't know if that's what that's going to lead to, but It has to mean something because that is like literally such a random scene. Wow. I said Keith. I said Kenneth. I said Kane. I said all the K's in the world except for the right Hugh. Thank you. Hugh. That's easy. We got I love the simplicity of the names in this season. We got two new characters who I forgot to mention earlier with Alan and his brother Adam, which talks about Corliss, and I think that's going to have a play in this season. Some people are thinking that Alan and Adam are the sons of Corliss potentially. I can see the resemblance, good casting if that is the route they go. But I love the simple names, right? Hugh, Alan, Adam. I love it. Even though I couldn't remember Hugh's name, I'm gonna remember it now. But I love how they're keeping the names very, very simple. Makes it easy to remember, and I will not forget Hugh's name moving forward. But anyway, I think Hugh, going back to what I was saying, is going to have some importance to it because it seems very, very random conversation. Which, as I'm going through the episode now, that is followed up by Alan and his brother, younger brother. I assume his younger brother looks younger. His younger brother, Adam, who's like, "Hey, man, you save Corliss. You're in his goodwill. Like, let's maybe use that to our advantage, right?" And I think I can't remember who mentioned it in the live stream, but someone was like, "I think that might be his sons, which might open up another, inner issues amongst the family. Corliss having two sons out there that he's not aware of." Because I don't think it's coincidence. I love seeing my black people in Game of Thrones. The more, the better. But I don't think it's coincidence that the two new black characters are black and Corliss is black. So, not that we all look alike, but I'm saying there might be some familiar family ties potentially that could open up a wound between probably the most stable relationship in this show, which is Rhaenys and Corliss. And if it comes out that he had us, which I mean, this is Game of Thrones, right? Everyone's having affairs and going out on their husbands and wives, but neither here nor there. They seem to have the most reliable foundation in their relationship. So if we find out that he was, scandalous and having affairs and having kids out there, that could cause some drama between, like I said, the most stable couple in the show. But before we move on, my man Tony Movie Chappie in the building with the 1999 super chat. Shout out to you, my friend. I appreciate you as always. Good to see you in the chat. I saw your sorry, let me read it. I'll be sharing my full review, not full review, but I did a short that's going to be extended on my thoughts. But shout out to Tony. Tony says, I saw your review on Trigger Warning, which is sad because I love Jessica Alba, especially in the early 2000s. But as soon as I saw it was on Netflix, I knew it would be another generic, crappy film. What is going on with Netflix? So just to shout out to you, Tony. Thank you for the support. I will be sharing my review. What Tony's referring to, if you guys don't know, Netflix just put out a new action thriller over the weekend starring Jessica Alba called Trigger Warning. I did if you're not following me on Letterboxd, follow me. I normally put like my first reactions or thoughts of a film that I just saw on that app. Love Letterboxd, by the way. Not sponsored, but maybe one day. Anyway, I shared my thoughts, and then earlier today, I made a little short, like a minute review of the film, and I'll be sharing that on YouTube probably the next day or two. I saw that in The Exorcism over the weekend. Two not so good movies, to say the least. But yeah, thank you, Tony, for the super chat. And yeah, it's sad because Jessica Alba is yeah, that's I grew up with her, man. Huge crush on her. I still have it. Don't get me wrong, still have a huge crush on Jessica Alba, but movie, guys, bad movie. But anyway, not to get too far off track. But thank you, Tony, for the super chat. And review for Trigger Warning will be coming soon. But yeah, going back to Corliss and Rhaenys, that might be something to look forward to. Is that relationship being questioned? But speaking of relationships and questions, this was a scene that I was itching for. I think I talked about last week. I would love to see Rhaenyra and the White Worm have a conversation. And by goodness, the showrunners answered my prayers and gave us the scene, and it was another electric scene. I think any scene with Rhaenyra is electric, but She calls her in the room. She looks her up or down, look through her soul, man. I mean, the way that Rhaenyra was looking through her and just seeing if she could detect lies, seeing if she could be trusted. She remembers her, from when she was a little girl. She saw her on the bridge when Damon was claiming, "This is my wife. This is my wife." She's having my child or whatnot. And Rhaenyra remembered that. And I think in her mind, she's like, "Man, that was like 10, 15 years ago. And you still alive? And you made your way through the thick and thin." She talks about how she, went from the streets to run her own business, to having her business taken away, for having her life almost taken away, from going toe to toe with the high towers. Even though she messed around with Damon, this is what I like about Rhaenyra. She can she can see the potential in people, even if they've done bad things. I like that she saw the value in her, and I think this is a duo that I anticipate to be very lethal. Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, and the White Worm. Those three women, those three characters, can really mess up some things. Like right now, I don't think Team Green has an answer for those three women. Um, if it has come to be, and I think it will be later on. But I really enjoyed that scene. I really like this potential alliance between the two, and I can't wait for Damon to get home to be like, "My ex, my current collab. What is going on?" I can't wait for that. I don't think it's gonna be like a love triangle situation, but I think there is gonna be a power dynamic, a power shift where Damon's so used to using her for her lies and her birds that she spies that she has, but then to have Rhaenyra use her effectively, and that is not belittling her, because that's something that the White Worm talked about, is how Otto, Damon, and all the various different men of power have just used her, and used her in ways that are just very, very, very short-sighted, right? But I think Rhaenyra is gonna unlock her full potential. Um, I like this relationship that could potentially come between those two. I think there's a lot of good stuff that can happen. Listen, as a team black representative, I liken this to a football team, to a basketball team, to a baseball team. When you get a free agent out there and you pick up a free agent that has some value that can add to your team, that's a pretty good pickup. If this is you know a a free agency that we can add to our team as a team black representative. I like our prospects with the White Worm, and also I love when we're doing a watch along. I don't remember it being that distinct that it was memorable, but I do remember her accent being like very noticeable in season one, and a lot of people brought up in the watch party how her accent's a lot more even, a lot more palatable than season one was. So I'm liking the White Worm and what she can potentially bring to the best team. And that's the black team. Let me know how y'all felt about that scene and this particular partnership that I think is going to have. And I'm just going through the scenes. I wish I could share this screen so bad. Hopefully next week we'll be not hampered by technical difficulties. But Rhaenyra's face when she's like looking at certain characters, man, it's just like, how do you not just do whatever she says? Because it's just such a demanding presence that she has. But as we kind of just going through the rest of the episode, seeing if there's any key moments before we get to the big moment. Aegon makes a decision to kill all of the rat catchers because, again, this goes back to what I mentioned earlier, the bloodthirst. When he killed Blood earlier in the episode, I had said, I wonder if that's like a opening Pandora's box and it's going to be hard to shut. That he's going to now just have this thing where he's like, oh, damn, I am the king. I can just call for people's heads. I can hang people, beat people, and not be questioned until this scene. The scene I'm referring to is I keep calling him Aegon decides to kill all the rat catchers, have them strung up. Again, I think this kind of goes back to the Hugh scene a little bit later, that whoever did have faith and loyalty to the king might be going away because he's killing innocent people in the streets. He's not keeping his promises. He's acting out in a certain sense. But anyway, he hangs them all up in the street. Otto, who I said earlier, let me try to say this without throwing up. Otto makes the right call, makes a logical call, and calls out his grandson. Sir Cole, shut your mouth. Cole's telling him, "You watch how you're talking." He's like, "I'm his granddad. Forget hand of the king and the levels of power. I'm his granddad first, right?" So he's like, "I'm talking to my grandson. Shut up, Cole." He tells him that was a dumb decision. You're losing the faith of the people. They're going to question who you are as a person. Are you going to lead with nobility and rational decisions, or are you going to lead with fear? Right? He brings up his dad, how his dad had decency, and that pissed off young King Aegon. Listen here, y'all. The earth shook when this happened. Put this on TV. Where were you when Aegon made this decision? He tells his grandfather, Otto Hightower, who again, trying to throw up, might have been the most logical character in this episode. It's tough. It's tough, y'all. I hate Team Green. Anyway, he tells his granddad, "You know what? Enough of this. Take off the hand. You're not my hand in the king. You were my dad's hand in the king. So you just kind of were grandfathered in. You're fired." This man makes the most dumbest decision that I think has ever been made from a character in the Game of Thrones world. He tells him to give the position, the title of hand of the king to the man that has his hand on his, I won't go there, but yeah, he gives the hand of the king to Sir Kristen Cole. Even Kristen Cole, the idiot himself, is like, "Oh, me? You talking to me? You want me to be the hand of the king?" The earth shook. I think the White Walkers even felt that all the way in Winterfell. I think the first Aegon of his name was in his grave turning over when he heard his great Aegon give that call for Sir Kristen Cole to be hand of the king. So there's two things that's going through my mind when that scene happens. Number one, I'm like, that is the dumbest decision that anyone has ever made in the history of Game of Thrones and in Westeros and in the kings of all kings that sit on the throne. It might be a little bit of hyperbole, but very dumb decision. So I'm like, that's one. But then number two, the team black in me was like, that might have been the smartest decision because that's just going to break them down from the inside out. Can you imagine the advice that Cole will be giving the king moving forward? I likened it to, for any of my basketball fans out there, grew up a big Lakers fan, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Always, even when he retired in 2016, I'm still a Lakers fan at heart because, we spend so much time rooting for one team for so many years. You just always keep an eye on them. So for my basketball fans out there, most recently, I think Friday or Thursday, the Lakers announced JJ Redick, great player, back in his days at Duke, 15-year NBA player, great veteran, great analyst. He's an analyst, was an analyst. They hired JJ Redick to be the coach of Los Angeles Lakers. Just a little backstory. JJ Redick has never coached on any professional level of any sport. NCAA, high school, AAU, kids, baseball, basketball games, let alone the NBA. But the Lakers just hired him to be the coach of their team. JJ Redick is a very smart man, so the intellect isn't comparable to Cole. But what I'm getting at is the hire Cole as your coach, essentially, your number two, makes decisions, makes the calls, helps you make the kingdom run smoothly. To have someone without experience and to be as dumb as Cole is going to be the downfall of Team Green. I think this will be the thing that's just going to take him out. So again, it's a dumb decision, but it's also the smartest decision as a Team Black representative that could have been made. So anyway, let me know what y'all think about it. Again, not having had read the books, I don't know what I think Otto is going to probably make his way back into the King's good graces. But as of right now, I didn't see this coming at all. Like I thought, what is his name? Strong with the Kane, Lars Layers Strong. I thought he was going to probably be Otto's replacement because the way he was campaigning for it in episode 1, it has been campaigning for it since season 1. I thought that he was going to probably be next in line, but he should have been there, right? Where were you when that happened? Which, by the way, which question for you all in the comments, and the question for myself that I'll answer. Having him, Lars Strong, being the hand of the king, or having Cole as the hand of the king? Again, it goes back to me saying I hate Team Green. I know that Strong he's a freak, you know. Allison's feet, doing what he does when he has he's aware he killed his own brother and dad. He's off his rocker, but he has those little finger ways about him to get things done. So I'm glad that he's not in the King's ear, probably giving him good advice. So yeah, Cole being the hand of the king works out for us for Team Black. Can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait to see. I don't see Krusty Cole as Kurt, who was the coach of the Lakers at one point back in the 80s or 90s, maybe. Littlefoot is just as bad. He is, but he's just as bad in the sense of, as an audience, we know that he's a bad person, but he makes the right calls that's going to put Team Green in the best position possible, I think. But yeah. Shout out to Super Scale with the $5 super chat. We are united. Kristen Cole disdain. We are. I think, like I said earlier, I don't think there's been a character in the history of Game of Thrones. Again, the Ramsays, Joffreys, Cersei's, White Walkers, like who you're supposed to hate as an audience. You don't supposed to root for these people. You love to hate them. And we're supposed to hate Cole, but my dislike for him is making me not like him like at all. Like I just hate him so much. But I love that we can collectively agree on that. Again, there might be some fans of his out there, but I think that might be just because he's a good looking fellow, right? So I think there might be a little bit of bias to some like, yeah, but he's cute, but I can fix some type of thought process for some fans of his that maybe be physically attracted to the actor that plays the character, because I don't think that there is anything morally speaking from a character perspective that people can appreciate from him. But anyway, yeah, I love that we can agree that he's a mess, man. He's a mess. Let's see. But yeah, I'm really, really intrigued to see what that means for the show with this new Hand of the King. And I wonder how long it's going to last before it blows up in his face. And more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, how much longer will the king not know about the relationship that his new Hand of the King has with the queen? That's what I want to know. I want to know that spicy nugget. I want to see that scene tonight when he finds out. Is it like, a matter of anger, being upset, or is it like, my mom needs keep her distracted? Like, if Aegon finds out about it, which I think he will he use that as like distract my mom, keep her busy, feed her lies or whatnot, or will he just chop off Cole's head, finding out that his mom has been sleeping with him? Very, very intrigued, very intrigued. But anyway, as we wrap up the episode, big moments here. Again, the alliance, I think, is coming. Rhaenyra releases the White Worm. The White Worm sees the twin brother, making his way to the queen. And she, again, this is why I think the line's going to happen. We don't see her warning Rhaenyra, but it's assumed that she did go back. Now I can see it because we cut the episode of, when it happens, but I can see her like coming into the room like, oh, and like warning her, and she takes it as like a sign. Oh, I thought you were gone and you stayed, so now I want you to be my hand. Like, I don't know if she can have a hand. Yeah, she can. She does have a hand. I can't think of the name right now. I think, or does she have a hand? I don't know. Anyway, I think that Rhaenyra will allow her to be someone close to her to that she can trust. But anyway, the suspense in the scene is fantastic. Again, this might be a me thing, but it's just I just wish when characters die, I wish there was more time spent with characters before they meet their demise. We haven't spent that much time with the twins. We can probably count the times in our hand. They've been in scenes, but they haven't been impactful in scenes. I do wish that there was maybe a little bit more moments with them to have this ultimate result be a little bit more impactful, at least for me. I'll just speak for myself. I don't know if y'all feel the same, but anyway, as he's going to do the mission, and as dumb as it sounded, it actually worked because, obviously Cole suggested the idea and he said, you're a twin, which kind of works to their advantage. How rare is that for you to have a twin that's on the enemy side that you can pretend to be them, which I will say, I know Eric, that's working for Rhaenyra, that's on the right side of history. I know he's a Kingsguard. He has his duties and he has his honor, but he could have altered the suit a little bit, right? Just to, maybe take the white cloak and make it black, for this very reason. He does know that he does have a twin out there. And if, I wouldn't have put it past them to maybe use that Uno card to their advantage, which they did in this episode. But neither here nor there. I like the as silly as it is, like, oh, it was a twin and I don't know who. It sounds silly, but the execution was really well done. He makes his way to Rhaenyra, and as you're watching, you're like, because the way that the show positions them, you don't know who's who. Like, one character's going this way, and then especially when the one brother took off his helmet, you didn't know who was who. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Corliss, okay, Corliss is her hand. When did that happen? I don't remember that happening. Anyway, so we didn't know this is, again, the suspense really worked because you didn't know who was who, and one of them, the bad twin, makes his way into her quarters, and again, I hate to nitpick, man, but I just felt like that scene would have been more impactful if we would have had a little bit more time. I know it's hard to say given more time. Obviously, there's supporting characters, but it was a pretty big scene. We spent the last 15 minutes with them, so the big characters in the grand scheme of things. But I just wish we would have had a little bit more screen time with them. Season 1, season 2, obviously it's only 2 episodes in, but just wish it was just more time just to make it more impactful. But anyway, they're fighting. And the only way I was able to kind of track who was winning and was losing, because we saw the one brother, he got cut in the leg, and which was like, okay, I can follow the leg. The leg was the leg. But then the show got, it was like, well, we're going to throw you off a little bit more. We're going to show you scenes from the neck, from the waist up. So you couldn't tell who was winning, who was losing, because they're obviously twins and they're both punching each other, and, noses are bleeding, hair being pulled out. But I'm going to have to rewatch the episode. I think the good brother was the one that killed the bad brother first. Stick with me. The one that injured the leg, that was Team Black, ultimately stabbed his brother and killed him. He's told his brother before he died, I love you. Before he had, the brother got the upper hand and winning. But then I think, again, Team Black's twin stabbed his brother. But then he loved his brother. He can't imagine living with him, the idea that he had to kill his own brother. So then he took his own life. Am I right? Because why else would he say, I'm sorry, my queen? But then now I'm thinking about it, the bad brother who was representing Team Green, he had said to Rhaenyra, I had no other choice. Almost like deep down, I think he knows that she's the rightful heir to the throne, but he's just kind of, playing the sides. But I'm gonna have to rewatch the scene. But I feel pretty confident that Eric Team Black killed his brother, and then doing so, he took his own life. I think that's how it played out. I'm gonna have to rewatch the scene just to make sure all the blocking is right. At least in my head, I think it is. But anyway, it's a great scene, man. It's a great scene, and what makes it even, which would have just elevated it just a little bit more, is if we would have had spent more time with the brothers, and really built on the relationship and how difficult it was for them to split. But I don't think it doesn't fall short of what I think these brothers still represented in the show. And for those that read the book, let me know if this was, accurate to the book, if they were around longer, if they were more impactful in the book. Like I said, I think the show, they were just there. Anyway, still effective, but I think again, the effectiveness in this scene is just showing when family comes to take each other's life that no one ultimately wins. Both of those brothers end up dying, which I think is a symbol of Targaryens coming at each other, and taking each other out. That they're just going to kill each other, and there's not going to be a winner. There's just a loser in the situation, because whether Team Black, who I hope wins, if they win, they just took out half of their family in doing so, right? And the same goes for Team Green. There's really no winners in this situation in the grand scheme. And ultimately, we know, if you watch Game of Thrones, you know what happens to the Targaryens. They, if those that are watching House of the Dragon before watching Game of Thrones, I won't spoil anything. And I know there are people out there that haven't seen Game of Thrones, which is such a cool perspective. It's almost like watching Star Wars, the prequels, and then watching the originals, and then watching this, watching it in order as it was kind of, made up as it went along. It's kind of a cool perspective to have that experience. But either way, like I said, even though I wish we would have had more time with the twins, the effectiveness still kind of worked for me of what they kind of represented. But anyway, last scene of our episode is Otto talking to his daughter and being like, I'm gonna go back home. Which, by the way, they mentioned, I know is again, not being a book reader, but I know that there is another son that Allison has that hasn't been in the show, and she references that brother in this episode. So I wonder if we're going to see him eventually. But Otto says, I'm gonna go back home, wipe my wounds off, and she tells him, let time go by. I'll talk to my son, aka the king, and let things cool down, and hopefully get you a job back, Dad. How many times has Otto been fired? Because he's been fired at least twice in the show. This man continues to get fired, but he always finds his way back on top. But we end the episode with Allison going to her to talk to her son, just kind of get that conversation going. She goes in his room. He's crying. Obviously lost his son. Obviously just fired his grandfather. Obviously, his him being a king is being up to question from the people of King's Landing. So I don't like Team Green, but I like how the show at least attempts to make you have a little ounce of like humanity of these characters, right? So, I don't like Aegon, but it's like the kid has been through a lot, right? I mean, even going back to season 1, he lost his dad. Even though they didn't have like the best relationship, but he still lost his dad, lost his son, and now his sister's trying to kill him. So I like how the show at least gives an effort to show you where these characters are mentally, physically, and all that stuff. But then why do they have to end like this? Allison goes into the room. Who's there? The newly appointed Hand of the King. Really using that hand in this scene, pun intended. They go in a room and they get it on. They get it on, y'all. The new Hand of the King is smashing the queen. It's funny. I was reading I follow a lot of the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, stuff online, and it was an interview from Olivia Cook. She mentioned there was a deleted scene of like a sex scene that was deleted And it was like her being like very, very fair. I think she said the word. I think she used the word feral. I think she was very aggressive, and she was like really being like taking lead, taking liberation of her sexuality. And they said they cut that scene. I wonder if this episode was a scene that they maybe cut, because we saw her getting very physical with Krusty the Clown, smacking him, pushing him, and then we know what happened. But I wonder if there was more to that scene, like if she was like punching him, ripping clothes off, and it was a little bit more intense. I wonder if that was a scene that she was referring to. But anyway, time to give our, whether you use letters or numbers, on a letter grade from A to F, A, B, C, D, and jump to F. What would you give the score of this episode? A or an F or a B or a C or a D? If you use a number scale, we can do 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Let me know in the comments. How would you guys rate tonight's episode? I think for me, I mentioned it earlier up top, I didn't not like episode 1, but it was just not as great as I think a premiere of such a prestigious show of the caliber of House of Dragon could have been. I think I gave last week like a 7 or 7.5 out of 10, B minus. Tonight, A plus, a 9 out of 10. No 10 out of 10. That's an A plus. I mean A and a 9 out of 10. It doesn't get that A plus. It doesn't get that 10 out of 10 for me. Is because, again, those brothers, I wish we would have had a little bit more time to spend with them, to have that moment hit emotionally, for them to have that moment of them, one taking one of their lives, another one taking his life, 4 taking his brother's life. I just wish there was more time spent there. And I don't know, and we'll see how it plays out. But again, the decision for Rhaenyra to send Baela to King's Landing discreetly with a dragon seems to be, again, I don't know if it's meant to be a dumb decision and it's going to have ramifications, or if it's just like they thought it was a good idea to send her by herself. So we'll see what comes of that. But not overall, fantastic episode. That had a lot of incredible acting. Phenomenal score, which it always has a great score, but a really great score. Great cinematography. Again, there was some shots that I wish I could have shared. But again, some technical issues, but some beautiful shots and great writing and just phenomenal performances. Again, I think my MVP, I'm going to give 2 MVPs tonight. I can't believe that the second one I'm giving, I can't believe I'm saying this, but, I'll call it how I see it. Rhaenyra, number 1, phenomenal. The scene with her and Daemon, incredible. The scene with her, White Worm, phenomenal. Just great all around the board. Even with her bad decision to send a young girl to potentially her death. We'll see. But Rhaenyra gets his MVP. I can't look at the camera when I say this, but the other MVP goes to Otto. I think Otto Hightower had some phenomenal moments, great logical moments, calling his side out for the dumb, idiotic decisions from Aegon. Cole telling him, "Shut up, dude. This is my grandson. Why are you? Shut up." But yeah, Rhaenyra and Otto. And we'll do that moving forward. We'll try to find awards for Team Green moving forward, because there's always going to be Team Black awards. But Rhaenyra and Otto, for sure, are my MVPs for Team Green and Team Black. And this is a great episode of television, man. I didn't see the trailer for next week. I think they show those on Monday, so we'll all see. And by the way, while we're all here, did they give the title? Is there a title for episode 2? I gotta go to. Let me go to HBO. Because that is, I don't know if they've ever done that, or at least waited so long to give us an episode. It still says episode 2. Is it me? Let me know if you guys are at home that are watching this, which again, appreciate every single one of y'all being here with me tonight. Such a fun time. I always look forward to these Sunday discussions. Let me know if you can find the title of tonight's episode, because what is going on? There's still no title. That is weird. There's still no title. Let me go to Google and see if they've given it a title yet. Nope. Still no title on Google. Go to one of the. I just clicked on I love you. I don't think that's the title. I clicked on Forbes. They did their review at 9:45, and it says House of Dragon season 2 episode 2 recap and review. I love you, brother. I think that's what the brother said. Eric said to his other brother. I think he did. I don't know if that's the name of the title though. I love you, brother. That would seem kind of weird. Well, not weird. I know why if they were to give it that title, but that's I don't think that's the name of the title. Yeah, I don't see a title, guys. I do not see a title for episode 2, which is, like I said, just kind of something I haven't seen Game of. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if this. So I'm on Wikipedia, and the episode that they gave it is Rhaenyra the Cruel, which is something the people of King's Landing was saying in the streets when they were having the funeral. Rhaenyra the Cruel. Okay. Is that accurate? Is anyone else seeing that? This is what I see on Wikipedia. IMDb hasn't updated it, at least on my end, and HBO, at least on my app, hasn't shown it. So Rhaenyra the Cruel. Okay. Interesting title. Okay. Oh, it's okay. It's not shown on my end scale, but Rhaenyra the Cruel. Interesting. But let me see these scores. Let me see scores from y'all right quick. And then before we head out, prediction theories, comments, concerns, and what you all are doing this week. The new movie. Are you guys gonna see excited for the what's coming out this week? Quiet Place. Yeah, excited to see that. Let me know. But let me go to these scores. We got an A from Boom. We got another A. I mean, I was with an A. Zia with an A, 9.5. We got another 9, solid A. An A9. B. Last week was a C from Kevin. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you, my man. Solid A, 9.5, 9.5. First A of the whole series for you. Okay. I'm a harsh grader in this show. Has been a consistent respect. First A. So this is the best episode for you there, right? Some good stuff in season 1, but this was a fantastic episode, so that's what's up. Forget him if I know. Yeah, I mean, you got a point. This is, Eamon Cole trained him, so I think there's a level of like respect from your trainer that you sleep with my mom, and I look up to you and what have you. You train me and whatnot. So yeah, that could be a problem for sure. Acting was, we talked about that, man. Acting was phenomenal. That's a good call, Stress. I like that. She was obviously in a great scene, but and also a couple scenes, but I think Otto just moved the needle a little bit more for my number 2. But that's a good call for the White Worm. She was great. She's my number. She would be my number 3. But yeah, I can see what you mean though. Otto, yeah, the acting's just always great. Okay, we got another White Worm. Respect. Yeah, if you're pulling my leg, I'll give him an award. Okay, so it wasn't Miami. Okay, so but yeah, it seems like everyone has confirmed that it was Rhaenyra the Cruel. Yeah, I mean, I talked about last week, Stress, that episode 4 is supposed to be the big episode. Episode 4 is supposed to be the Battle of the Bastards level of battle, and I think they titled it the Dance of Dragons. So yeah, excited for that one. We got an 8.5. Don't let down. I really like the one-on-one acting scenes. Yeah. You and me both. You and me both. Got an 8, got an 8, got a B. White worm for the hand. Yeah. So look, y'all, this has been great. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties earlier in the stream with the lagging and the echoing. I think the audio was just choppy because the internet, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's a StreamYard issue or a Google Chrome issue, but I was using Chrome when I was doing the live stream, and I don't know. I'm not using Chrome. I'm using I don't know what I'm using right now. Internet Explorer maybe, or Microsoft Edge. I don't know. Anyway, but next week, hopefully no technical difficulties for the live stream, for the watch party, as well as the after show. But we will be back next Sunday for the watch party, for the after show. But even prior to then, keep an eye out for reviews for, I might give one more episode for Presumed Innocent. Those numbers aren't too great right now. I don't know if people are not watching it or just not interested in my taking it. I can understand that. I can respect that. But I might have one more episode in me for a breakdown. We'll see. But definitely expect a review for The Boys. I got some short reviews for Trigger Warning, the new Jessica Alba movie on Netflix, and the new The Exorcism starring Russell Crowe. Keep an eye out for those reviews. I will be seeing A Quiet Place on Wednesday, so out of the reaction movie review the following day. And then is there anything else? Oh, and I mean, the Bears coming out this week. And I've been talking to the publicists, and they said that they don't have an official date for screeners. But I'm gonna try to get screeners and try to give you all my thoughts on season 3 of one of my favorite shows on TV, The Bear. I love and hate that they drop it all at once. I get it. It's 30-minute. Not every show demands like that week to week. I think the Bears qualifies for that, but neither here nor there. The Bears coming out this week, so I'm going to have some form of review for you guys later this week. Hopefully, if I get the screeners earlier enough, I'm going to try to do like 1 through 8 or 1 through 10. I think it's 8 episodes, but I'll try to do like a episode by episode breakdown if I have the opportunity to see it a little bit in advance. If not, I'm going to, just give you, just a overall review once I watch it. But I'm really excited for the Bear. But then after that, we'll be back here Sunday. But let me see. Final comments before we wrap this up. And before y'all leave, man, hit the thumbs up, share, comment in the for the replay, and subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate it. Can't wait for episode. Yeah, this episode 4 is supposed to be the big one, the big daddy. I would agree with that. I 100% agree with that. I mean, obviously, longer samples to overall, because we saw, even though season 8-7 wasn't the greatest, we had 8 years with those characters. But I would say at this point of their runs, 2 episodes into the second season of Game of Thrones, I would think that I say Game of Thrones is a better show than House of the Dragon at this current point of the shows, 1 for 1. But yeah, I do agree with your second point as far as acting in this show is phenomenal. I appreciate it, Scout. It is good, Zia, but I don't know if people are watching it. And time is very limited. We only get 24 hours in a day, and if I'm covering this show, The Boys, and movies and all that, it's just like I got to be careful with my time. If people aren't watching, it's understandable. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe people will catch up eventually. You know what? I'll check out for a minute and give you it's a good show, Skyler. So Jake Gyllenhaal, murder mystery, Apple TV Plus always gives good quality. Yeah, I mean, I love all the excitement around the show, though. So yeah, Kevin, check it out, bro. Apple TV Plus, man, they don't miss. Yeah, I agree with that, man. I can't wait to see what this new season is all about. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. 3 episodes in. I haven't seen episode 4 yet. Yeah, check it out, Kevin. Let me know what you think, man. I mean, there's truth to that stress, but I mean, for $6, bro, you getting so much from Apple TV. I have no shame in saying this. I think Apple TV Plus, as of today, is the best streaming service over Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Max. Um, like when you look at show, the quality of show versus quantity of show, Apple is just, to me, the best. And I haven't seen all the shows, but all the shows I have invested my time in has been phenomenal, man. But and like I said, and I'm not sponsored by Apple, but for the price you pay for Apple, I think their quality is just phenomenal, in my humble opinion. But yeah, but I understand though. I mean, when you're paying, I mean, $6 plus 20 for Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, AMC Plus, BT Plus. I mean, there's so many streaming services out there that $6 does add up. So, but I understand. But I would say if people only had 3 streaming services that they can afford or want to have in their disposal, I would say Apple should be one of them, in my opinion. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Johnny. But hey, it's times are tough, man. Not to get too deep into just economics, man. The economy is rough out there. Anyway, we can go on and on and on, and I would go on and on, but I gotta get some Z's and get prepared for this week. But anyway, listen, y'all. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. I appreciate y'all. Apologies for the bad internet stuff earlier with the stream, but sticking through means a lot, man. Y'all are awesome. Hope y'all have a great rest of your Sunday. If it's the next day where you're at, hope you have a great Monday, and I hope you have a great week, and stay safe. Be nice to someone this week. Tell someone they look nice. Hold the door for someone. Be kind, and like I said, be safe. And I'll see you all soon, very soon, on all the things we'll be covering this week. But anyway, catch y'all next time. Peace.